Welcome to your 15-minute follow along. Today we're going to be focusing on a nice little stretch routine just to kind of finish off the day. It's going to be nice, slow and controlled. Let's get straight into it. So ideally, you want to get yourself some cushions. I've got some yoga blocks here. I've got some rolled up mats. Get crafty at home, get whatever you can. And this is just to help to alleviate and kind of help us to relax in certain areas that we'll be in today. The first thing that I want you to do, so if you have a set of yoga blocks, you just need one. Otherwise you could use a rolled up mat or a pillow, a little bit more effective at something a bit more solid. I'm going to focus on the knuckles of my toes here. So I want you to think about that bony structure. You want it to be on the knuckles, not too much on the foot. And then all I want to do is to place both of my feet onto the block where the knuckles are. I'm going to try to squeeze my heels together. So pull the heels towards each other. I'm going to grab the clock. We're going to set the clock for 60 seconds. And all I want you to do during this time is to focus on your breath. Nice big deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just see how much weight you can start to just lie onto your feet. Your feet are going to want to naturally fall out to the side. We want to try and keep our heels as close to each other. And then we just hold. Good things to think about in this position. Or am I holding on to unnecessary tension? If I am, maybe I need to put my fingertips back on the floor. Every time I breathe out, I'm trying to soften my belly as best I can. We're just over halfway. Nice big strong breaths in. As you breathe out, try and soften that belly a little bit more. Last 15 seconds. Now, if you're not used to this, it can be quite intense. That's why we put the hands down if we need to. If we want a little bit more of a challenge, take the hands off. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Slowly come out of there. What I recommend you do is just tap the toes a little bit. Place the block to the side. You're going to come up onto your hands, so like a downward dog position. Keep the knees bent, press the armpits open. Try to ground one foot. Come back out. Try to ground the other foot. Come back out. We're going to cycle through 10 each side. We're going to follow along to my count. I want you to take a big deep breath in, press your armpits towards your knees. And then as you breathe out, right foot goes down. Come back up. Left foot goes down. Come back up. Let's go for 2. Let's go for 3. Let's go for 4. Let's go for 5. Keep pressing your armpits towards your knees. Let's go for 6. Let's go for 7. Let's go for 8. 9. It can be quite intense. So, heels don't have to touch the floor. Last 1. But we are aiming towards that. Lower down onto the knees. And walk yourself out of that position. We're going to grab your block again. We're going to place the block behind you. And this time, we're going to place our toes on top. And we're looking to bend from the knuckles here now. So we're going to be bending our toes as best we can. The challenge on this one is to try and keep the big toes kissing each other. So I'm going to put my toes up on top. Know that if you don't have a block, this can be done on the floor. Toes together, heels together, knees on the floor. And then we come back. I've set the clock for 60 seconds, and all I want you to do is to focus on your breath. So big deep breath in. As you breathe out, see how much kind of weight you can put down onto your feet. As I said earlier, if it's too intense, you can put your fingertips down. You can also bring some blocks beside you or some books just to kind of help the balance. If you can keep your hands off the floor, keep your hands off the floor. Nice big deep breaths into the nose. And as you breathe out, Soften your belly as best you can. So I'm trying to be as relaxed as possible here. Big deep breaths in and back out. Big deep breath in, last 10 seconds. And breathe out. Big deep breath in. And as we breathe out on this one, we're going to lean forward. We're going to tap our toes. You can do this on the floor. And then slowly come out of that position. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab both of our mats, or if you have some cushions, you're going to place them out. We're going to go into what I call a frog stretch. So what I'm anticipating is kind of how wide my knees can go and placing them out as wide as possible. I'm going to place my knees onto the mat or the cushion so that they're really, really comfortable as a starting position. And what I'm searching for here, I will show you side on, is I'm trying to get my knee to be in line with my hip and my knee to be in line with my ankle. I'm also trying to externally rotate my ankle so that when it's on the floor, the ankle bone is trying to touch the floor. This can be challenging for some, but it's a target I would like you to work towards. So 90-degree angle here and a 90-degree angle here. So you want the inside of the knee to be relatively comfortable. You can grab a block or a cushion just for your elbows. We're going to hold this one for 90 seconds. So let's get ourselves ready. Go big deep breath in. And as you breathe out, we'll start the clock. And all I want you to do is just to focus on your breath here. We're trying not to shift our weight too far forward. The body's quite clever in this position. So what it'll do is it'll try to shift out of that 90 degrees. So I want you to keep checking in if you need to. Keep trying to allow your knees to sink further away, and we hold. Now, the biggest challenge for most people in this position is to try to soften your belly as best you can. So every time you breathe out, just see if you can soften it a little bit more. Big deep breath in. As you breathe out, just see if you can readjust. So you'll see I'm using my fingertips here just to try to bring my knees a little bit further away from each other. And then I come back into that relatively comfortable position, I would say. In terms of our hip position here, we want to be tipping our belly button towards the floor as we roll the hips out behind. So stay in that position, but I'll just show you. So I'm trying to roll my hips out behind me. You just got 10 more seconds here. Last big deep breath in. And as you breathe out, I recommend you push your hands through the floor. Bring yourself up, bring your heels as close as you can to each other and walk your hands back. Bring the knees nice and close. And then slowly come out. From there, what I would like you to do is to sit onto your butt. We're going to do some swivel hips just to kind of get a bit of movement in there. So I'm going to sit on my butt. I'm going to drop my knees to one side. Breathe out. Breathe in. Drop my knees to the opposite side. We're just going to cycle through 5 repetitions each side. So again, not too much expectation here. I just want you to kind of cycle through this movement. Nice, slow, and controlled. Okay, we got last one each side. And then slowly come out of there. Now the next thing that I would like you to do, so the way I like to do this is if you have a cushion or rolled up mat, it's ideal. You're going to just place it behind you. And then you're going to bring your knee onto the floor. So note that your kneecap is on the floor here. The mat is tucked in against your knee. So your kneecap is not on top. Okay? Then I bring my opposite foot out in front. Give myself a little bit of space. And then all I want you to do here is to tuck your back toes. So tuck them like this. If you have blocks, you can bring them either side if you need to. Then hands just go on the floor. So if you can't reach the floor, you can use the blocks, give you a bit of assistance. And then all I would like you to do here is to come to an upright position first. You're going to tuck your butt, so I'm trying to squeeze it as best I can. This is where the blocks can come in handy. And then I'm going to push my hip forward. I don't want to lose the tension in my glute because here I'm just arching through my back. So big deep breath in. And as you breathe out, I just want you to hold in your deepest position. Every time you breathe out, just soften that belly. We're going to hold this one for 60 seconds, and then we're going to swap over to the opposite side. Things I'm looking for here is I'm pulling the front leg back into my hip, squaring off my hips, and just really trying as best I can to soften my belly. If you have a chair, it can be really useful just to kind of relax on it, or a box, and we just focus on our breath. And we're just over halfway. Try not to lose that tension in the glute, and just nice big deep breaths. Last 15 seconds. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out of there. Have a little walk around if you need to. And then we're going to go to the opposite side. So the same thing applies here. Kneecap goes on the floor. We tuck our back toes. And then we bring the front leg forward. We tuck our pelvis so that we can get good engagement through the glutes. And then from there, we hold in that position, okay? So we get ourselves ready. We'll go in 5. Take a big deep breath in, lower into that deepest position where you can maintain tension in your glute. So we don't want to arch from the lower back. We're tucking the toes so that we can kind of get a little bit of a stretch in the foot. And so we can also kind of push that hip a little bit more. And then every time we breathe out, just soften that belly. And just a reminder, we want to pull that front leg back into the hip to square off the hips. We tuck our pelvis to engage the glute. We just find our deepest position that we can maintain that tucked pelvis. Last 15 seconds. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just sit back, stand up, and then we have a little walk around. Okay, next thing I'd like you to do is you're going to lie flat on your back. This is where having the blocks can be useful, or some cushions. You're just going to put them out to one side. From here, I lie flat on my back. I bring my knee up to my chest, so we'll go right knee up to chest. So it's the opposite to where you have the blocks. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move these mats. I'm going to bring the knee across to try to make contact with the blocks. If I can't make contact with the blocks and I can't keep this opposite shoulder on the floor, I put more blocks there. So it's very important that we keep both shoulders flat on the floor. This opposite arm goes out, knuckles on the floor, so palm facing up. Pull the knee down towards those blocks. I take a big deep breath in. And as I breathe out, I'm going to look towards that straight arm. We're going to hold this for 60 seconds, grabbing things you need, and we'll get ourselves ready. Okay, we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Clock has started. Big deep breath in, and then look towards that hand. And all I want you to focus on is your breath. So as you breathe in, it's a good little habit to kind of tense everything, and then as you breathe out, See, can you flush that tension out? Big deep breath in. Flush that tension out. Whew. And then just hold in this position. If you find that the block is stopping you, you can lower it down, but not at the expense of that shoulder coming off the floor. We got last 10 seconds. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out. And then we go across to the opposite side. So again, set up the blocks on the outside of the hip. The knee is going to come up, across to the sides, look towards the straight arm. Big deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, try to make contact with the block as you look towards that hand. We'll hold this for 60 seconds. And once we get control of our breath, this allows us to just calm that nervous system down as best we can, which, once the body feels comfortable, it'll actually give us more access to a deeper position. I would say the biggest mistake here is trying to go too deep too soon. So we really want to try and find that tipping point of comfort where we can just about manage it, and then we hold there. Last 15 seconds. Last 10. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Stay where you are, but take a big deep breath in. And if you're fully relaxed, you might actually need to use this opposite hand just to lift the knee to slowly come out. Stay lying on your back, bend your heels, bring your knees into your chest, and just rock side to side. And then what I'd like you to do is just to fall over to one side, bring the hands down, just to allow you to get back up. I want you to come onto your hands and knees. From here, what I would like you to do is you're just going to lengthen out the side to finish off. And the way we'll do that is you're going to put both your hands on the floor. We're in a quadrupedal position, so I'm on all fours. My right hand is going to go in front of my left hand. My left hand is going to come down on top of my right hand, and I'm going to lower my right shoulder towards the right hand side. So I'm effectively creating an anchor onto the wrist as I try to pull this shoulder away from the wrist. If I need more, I'm going to push my hip out to the left, which is going to make the distance from my right wrist all the way to my right hip as long as possible. So think of like a side banana kind of position. Take a big deep breath in, and then as we breathe out, try to lengthen that side as best you can. You just want to hold this for 30 seconds. Last 10. And 3, 2, 1. Slowly come up. Hands back to shoulder width. And now we do the opposite. So left hand above the right. Right hand anchors it down. We try to pull our left shoulder away from the left wrist as we push the right hip out to the right hand side. So again, we're trying to make the distance from our left wrist to our right hip as long as possible. We take a big deep breath in. And as we breathe out, we try to soften that belly as best we can. And then we hold here. Now, some of these stretches, you might have to rotate a little bit. You might have to push your hips out a bit more. Kind of investigate a little bit to see where does your body need it most. And last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the pressure off and slowly come out of there. So that's a nice little sequence just to finish the day. It's a nice way just to kind of calm the nervous system, just to kind of loosen everything up just before you go to bed. I hope you enjoyed today. Share it with somebody who needs to stretch a little. And as always, please help support this channel by pressing that subscribe button. If you have any comments, pop them down below. You're welcome.